Welcome and thank you guys for joining our class today. It's an introductory class on Claude and why we're here. So we had a exploratory meeting to find out which tool would be the best for you guys, either Claude or Copilot. And we chose Claude specifically based on the type of activities that we heard. And being in spreadsheets, large files, complex data, Dustin's team manually having to go through the pre and post price books, looking at them manually, but then moving over to AI, but not Claude yet until now. Greg's team living in Excel and maybe not having some of that deep formula knowledge. And then Madison's team juggling co-ops and also creative simultaneously. And then Brent's TM spending time on meeting notes and order entries from the dealer. So this isn't to give you guys just another piece of software to add to your plate. The goal of this is to give you back time. And the time that you're currently spending on your repetitive spreadsheet work, the price book comparisons, writing emails, and formatting reports, you could be doing something else during that time and hand this work over to Claude. So let's look at what is Claude and how does it work. I'm going to play a short video for you guys in just a moment. And just a little takeaway on this, and I'll share this with you. This is a free class that I took from Anthropic. They were the creators of Claude, and they have a bunch of free classes. I took this in just a touch over an hour because I reread certain things. Maybe you guys could get through it faster than me. I'm going to share the link afterwards. But Claude is, think of it like a very capable new hire on your team and who is incredibly smart. They just need to be told exactly what you want, and then you'll get the best results from them. But also, they work 24/7. They don't sleep. They can work on the most complicated information at once, from reading and writing and analyzing complex spreadsheets and documents. And you can communicate with Claude just as you would a coworker in plain text, how you would write an email or a text message to a colleague. So let's take a look at this video. And Aaron, let me know if you hear the sound from this whenever I...
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Imagine this. You're looking at a blank page, wrestling with a big, complex project, and not sure where to start. What if you had a partner who could help you break it down? Claude is a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across all of your work. Claude brings AI intelligence, but you bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful. Let's explore chatting with Claude, beginning with the sidebar. Here, you will encounter icons for creating new chats and jumping back into old ones. There are options for projects, where you can organize your conversations with persistent context and custom instructions. And then artifacts, which allow you to turn ideas into shareable apps, tools, or content. No matter what you hope to accomplish, Claude offers support to achieve your goals. All interactions with Claude begin with a prompt, and these prompts, combined with other context, impact its response. The best approach when speaking to Claude is like you would a coworker, naturally, concisely, and conversationally. But you may ask, what is a good prompt? Before your next conversation with Claude, consider a few things. 1. Setting the stage. What is your role and what are your objectives? Is there context about your work that Claude should know about? 2. Defining the task. What action do you want Claude to take? Do you want Claude to write, analyze, build, etc.? 3. Specifying rules. What's the style or tone you want Claude to use? Are there examples that you can attach to show Claude? Let's review this prompt below. First, we're setting the stage by telling Claude this is for an investor pitch deck for a new indie streaming app. That's the context and the objective. Then we define the task clearly by providing relative details. Finally, we specify the rules by using current web research with citations, structuring it as a professional report, which tells Claude exactly what style and format we need. Perfect. With your basic prompt in place, now comes the real power move, adding your specific context to make Claude's response truly tailored to your needs. When you upload relevant documents or background information into a specific chat, Claude considers that context in its response, whether that's company documents, project files, or background research. Think of it as a shortcut so that Claude can understand what your needs are. Claude can intake and output many file types such as PDF, CSV, docs, and more. In the Search and Tools menu, you can level up your experience yet again by giving Claude access to more tools to pull in more context, and will pull in these tools as needed while solving your request. You might toggle on options like web search to let Claude research current market data, or use connected data sources to pull from Google Drive, allowing access to real-time information. Claude will choose the right approach. While those options directly impact the information Claude has access to, there are a few more ways to customize how Claude responds. You can choose the best Claude model for your task. To use the model selector, start chatting with Claude or open an existing chat. The selected model will appear under your text input. To change it, click on the model name and choose which model of Claude you'd like to chat with instead. Changing the model will result in a new chat. Claude currently supports numerous models with distinct capabilities intended to meet specific users' needs. Use the Claude Opus model for your most complex tasks. It's the largest scale model with hybrid reasoning capabilities. For example, running a multi-step financial analysis. Claude Sonnet is the best choice for everyday users and is our recommended default mode. It balances sophisticated capabilities with cost effectiveness. Think of it like choosing the right tool for the job. You can always switch models based on what you're trying to accomplish. Extended thinking mode is particularly valuable for complex thinking and analysis, though it increases latency and may not be necessary for simple questions in everyday conversations. To get the fastest output for more straightforward tasks, you can start with Sonnet models and leave thinking mode off. If you need more support, you can change the model or turn on thinking mode. Research enables Claude to conduct systematic, multi-angle investigations by automatically breaking down complex questions and exploring hundreds of sources to deliver comprehensive, cited reports in 5 to 45 minutes. Claude does the research for you, while you focus on other high-value work. Now just wait as Claude delivers to you a well-crafted response that effectively accomplishes your task. But the real power of Claude comes with continued and frequent communication, not just one-off prompts. The more you interact with Claude, the better it becomes at understanding your communication style and preferences for future conversations. Working with Claude, you have a great partner and a powerful, intelligent collaborator that amplifies your capabilities across everything you work on. Claude brings AI intelligence to your work. You bring the context and expertise that makes the work meaningful.
Okay. Let's go back to Claude. You can also connect Claude to your Microsoft 365 Outlook, and you can do that by going to Customize, Connectors, and you can see I have my 365. You just have to enable it and connect it. You see I don't have Lovable connected. I just have to hit connect. So you just need to enable it, and I'll go back again and show you. Customize, and then Connectors, and then there it is. You just have to click Connect across for Microsoft 365 for that. Something else to note, the context window can capture a large amount of information at once, and unlike Copilot, it won't stall or throttle on large or complex spreadsheets. It does not browse the internet by default. You need to let it know that you want to use web search and click on and off that toggle. Okay? If you click on research, it's going to take a little bit longer. So this is if you want a comprehensive analysis on something. So the more specific the prompt, the better results you're going to get. So now moving on to Aaron for choosing the right model.
Yeah, the video touched on this, but I just want to go back into it briefly just to show you what the options are. I think, Greg, you mentioned last time when we were talking about the different models and options that you had no clue what we were talking about, and that was a bit overwhelming. So, just piggybacking off of that, right? Like, so there are, as the video stated, actually a couple more even available to you when you click. The four main models that they use. Starting at the bottom, they have one called Haiku, then Sonnet, then Opus, and Fable. As the video said, Sonnet is definitely going to be your workhorse. That's where I would leave it. Probably for 98% of your tasks, you'll never change it off of Sonnet. Alisha and I use this all the time, and even our preferred model for most everything is Sonnet, even when we're doing complex work. Haiku is great if you just want to, quick back and forth conversation. You're not trying to get super deep. You're just thinking through something. It is quicker, and so that's what that one exists for. But Sonnet's the workhorse. If you're coming up against something where you find it is lingering on it for a super long time, let's say you just gave it a handful of spreadsheets and it's confused and you're not getting the right outputs. It's still AI, right? It's you definitely don't want to trust everything it says wholeheartedly. You definitely want to verify everything you're looking at. And so if you're getting just output that doesn't look right, at that point, that's when we would recommend stepping it up to a higher model, like from Sonnet to Opus. Fable is their top model. It's just recently come out. It is, Alisha and I were talking about this. The model that Fable was created from was designed with hacking the Pentagon in mind. It is a very, very, very intelligent model. The Fable that we see here is actually guardrailed quite heavily for us. So that if you start asking questions that sound a little bit too much like you're trying to do something dangerous, it'll actually kick you out of Fable. It's not a model that you really need, and quite frankly, now they've changed it, and so we actually can't even use it without paying a specific different subscription for it. So it is there just for you to look at and think about world domination, but you'll never use it. So if you have some use case, I would love to hear it. If you have a use case that needs that complex of thinking, but I hope that none of you are experiencing something that requires us to need that deep of thinking. So Sonnet and Opus, and why we switch between the models is important too, right? And you see I'm hovering here and it says Opus consumes usage limits faster than other models. That is an important thing to keep in mind, right? None of this is just unlimited use. Dustin, I know, ran into this with Copilot, where you give it a couple tasks, and then because you're on like the free tier, you run out. We are on a paid tier. We do have higher usage limits, but there are limits. I'll tell you, I have come close. I haven't hit it, but if you go down here in the bottom left, you have your account window, and then you hit settings. You can go to usage. If you want to see the tasks that you're doing and how they've been hitting your usage, Claude works on a rolling 5-hour window. So every 5 hours, your usage will reset for that 5-hour window, but it'll limit you inside of that window. So today, in the last 5 hours, I've used 13% of mine, just kind of going back and forth and looking at different things. But using Sonnet, I would love to challenge you to hit that limit. Opus will definitely get there quicker, but Sonnet, you're probably not going to hit it. Even doing the complex spreadsheet work and having it run analysis for you, you're not going to hit it. So the takeaway from that should be really that if you guys are here, leave it at Sonnet and leave it there until you hit a brick wall. If you hit a brick wall, at that point, I'd up it. But always falling back to Sonnet. It's gonna do all of you just fine, I think. Anybody have questions around the models just quickly while we're here talking about them? Good.
When you're in Sonnet, what's the difference between like chat and co-work?
That's a good question. So chat is more like what you're used to conversating with I'm glad you asked that. I didn't even think to bring that up. Chat's more like you're used to with an LLM. The back and forth right there in the window. Conversation, it's still going to do things for you, but it's going to be requiring you to go back and forth. Co-work is a bit more powerful, and you can point it at things like folders on your computer. For instance, like if you've got a running project folder or something like that, we'll take the example that we're going to use in a second, right? The price analysis, right? Where you're looking at old and new. You could chuck all of your customers' price analysis into one folder and then point co-work at that folder and give it one prompt to action on everything that's in there. Or if it happens to be a folder that contains a lot of context, you could, vendor analysis or competitor pricing, instead of having to drag and drop all that into the chat over and over again, you just point cowork at that folder and it knows it can work inside of that folder. You're basically giving it permission to say, hey, you can work inside of this folder. It's a great thing. You see some people use it, and Alisha are going to send some examples of stuff that you can use, Claude. But you'll see some people use it for organization, right? I've got this nasty folder that's been living in my OneDrive for a long time, and it's a mess, and I know I need to put things into folders. You can sick cowork on that, and it'll actually go into that folder and start to organize things for you. So it's a helper that can reach outside of just the chat versus chat. But you do have to give it pretty explicit permission. You're telling it, I am giving you access to this folder. You're not giving it just unfettered access to your whole computer. But bear in mind, as with any of these, right? If you're telling it to do something, it's an intelligent, but it's a newbie. And so it doesn't have the context that you have that, oh my gosh, I absolutely can't get rid of this file. And so even though I told it to get rid of files, it didn't know not to get rid of a specific file. So definitely keep in mind when you're giving it access to what you do and don't want it to do, for sure. Good question. All right. I'll take the silence. It's good. We'll move on. We'll move on to let's look at the price book analysis that we talked about, right? This was the hot topic, and this is kind of what led us down this path initially. So let me get mine pulled up again. Great. All right. So I'm going to take, Alisha is going to send out a prompt catalog here in a bit, just of commonly used prompts that you can use kind of relevant to our work, and then obviously use them. It's just kind of a jumping off point, but I'm going to take actually directly out of that prompt catalog. So what I've got that I'm going to drag and drop here is a file that Dustin sent me that has 2 pages. It's got 2 sheets. One sheet is the customer's old price out of Pricebook Digital, and one, so pre-increase, and then one is the customer's price post-increase. So one Excel file, 2 different things. I didn't do anything else. There's no math. There's no anything. It's just raw. Here's the part. Here's the price, exactly as it comes out of Pricebook Digital. And then I'm going to paste this prompt out of our prompt catalog here that just says, hey, I've got 2 price books attached. One's pricing before, one is after. Compare them and give me, number 1, a list of every item where the price changed. Number 2, the dollar amount and percentage change for each item. And number 3, flag any items where it increased outside of around 1 to around 5%, right? Because that was our working window for the last increase. And then it says, so I can review them separately, present your findings in a clear table. That's it. You're giving it the context, like the video mentioned. Hey, this is what you're working with, and then you're giving it the output that you need. This is what I consider a win. And that's it. So I'm just going to give it those 2. It's going to run this, and it takes it a second, but it's pretty quick. Actually, I could jump. I did this earlier. It's going to be like those cooking shows. Look at that. It's done. So same thing. Like I ran the same prompt. This is just it after it's finished. All right, so it gave you a quick synopsis, just again, to spell it out for you. It's giving you the worksheet too, but it's saying, hey, 350 items exist in both. 280 of those had change in price. 182, all good, we're content with. 106 are flagged, and then 5 items didn't show up in the new file. 17 items did that weren't in the old file. So it's great that it's calling all that out so you can see where the obvious changes are. All right, so I'm just going to hit download and open. I'm going to share this other screen. Bear with me. All right, so this is the output. And the difference between this one is I did not explicitly say the around 5. So it did flag some things that were like 1.49% change. Well, you can see what it did here, right? It took the model number, old price, new price, dollar change, percent change, and then if it was an outlier. And so that's a quick way. Obviously, you're not having to get in Excel and do that. And this is a good example of when to use cowork, right? So if you had, like, obviously you guys were doing this for a bunch of customers all at once. If you had just a working folder where you put all of these books that had the old and new price in them, put that in one folder, and then go into Cowork and tell it, hey, I need to run an analysis for each customer that shows up in this folder. And it's going to go through and it's going to work those systematically for you. And you're going to be off eating lunch with a customer, not thinking about it. And then you can come back and that's all going to be done. Versus having to sit there and go into each one and run the formulas on each one and then check it, which is obviously time consuming, or even handing it one by one to Claude to do. That's definitely the faster way to do it. And then it did make a second tab for us of, hey, here are the ones that were in the old file but not the new. Here are the ones that are in the new file but not in the old, just so that you have eyes on it in case you needed to see it. So it's a really basic prompt and a really basic use for it. And obviously you can tweak and tailor that. Different price increases, we have different ranges. So you just kind of tell it, hey, this is my expected range. Show me anything that falls outside of that. And so that's a great use for that. I know we had a long time for price book analysis. Does anybody have any other questions around that specific use case? I know that's pretty straightforward, but you guys see more anomalies. So anything that you don't think that would cover?
No, I was just going to add a little feedback. I played with it a little bit last week, looking at some competition data of competitor model numbers. And it was actually a photo that the TM was able to take of the price book, a page out of the dealer's price book, and it imported that and was able to analyze that information along with, our BDQ tiers, or maybe if we need to do a worksheet or existing pricing, since that conversation initially started, 6 months ago. So I kind of dove into it that way. It's pretty cool. It took a little while. Took a while to think too. It was not 5 or 10 seconds. It was a minute or two by the time it returned something back, and then I had to keep telling it in even more detail how I wanted it to look. But it ultimately got to me where I wanted to be, and faster than I had done it if I was trying to put a spreadsheet together myself. So
yeah, this is one of those tasks. I would consider this specifically this analysis, right? And if you're doing a vendor analysis that's repeatable, or excuse me, a competitor analysis that's repeatable, this is one of those good things in our left nav. And I'm going to pull Claude back up here. In our left nav, you have these projects, and what projects are a well, here I'll show you this. This is a good one. They're a stored prompt almost that you can come back to over and over again that has a context of what you're trying to do every time. So if I'm interacting with this particular one, right, I built this one as an e-commerce kit builder. What it has in its context is several things. It's got the ability to, I mean, you can see I've given it a list of instructions, right? So what we've done is we've said, hey, we want to build bundles for Team Air's systems, right? The way that they show up in the Pricebook catalog. We want to build those bundles out. It makes it easier for a customer to shop, makes it easier for people to write up. And so I have given this the context of what our Pricebook looks like today, what a naming structure is that we want for these, and then also the outputs that I specifically need it to give me in Excel format in order to upload those to e-commerce. So not only is it building the kits and naming them and telling me what items go together, it's also putting them directly into the Excel format that I need to put them into the website. So I'm not even having to go copy and paste like, oh, that's good, let me go put it in a spreadsheet now. Start to finish, it's reading the price book, extracting all of the model matchups that are in there, naming them, including descriptions with AHRI numbers and everything, and then taking all that information, packaging it into the 3 or 4 different Excel spreadsheets that need to be uploaded, and then I can push it right in. And so this is repeatable. I can bring our price book in and say, hey, let me drop that price book in. I need the 20 SEER dual fuels. And it'll just boom, run, give me the outputs, and then I can go put them into there. And so when we're doing things like these price book analysis, what you can do is once you get to that desired output, and Greg, this is a good one for you, you've gotten to that end point where you've got your desired output. It gave you what you were expecting. It looks the way that you were expecting. You can take your prompt at the bottom and say, great, now give me this as a set of instructions to add to a project to make this repeatable. Oh, I spelled all that right first try. That's incredible. And so what it's going to do then is just give you a set of instructions that you can now copy and go paste as instructions in your project, and you've got something you can always come back to, and you're not having to give that context again every time. So up here where we said this, That doesn't have to happen anymore. Now, when we take and we paste this, and it's going to be long, and that's good. You want it to be long because it's really verbose and it's telling it explicitly what you want to see. And if any of this is wrong, obviously you can change it. But you can copy this, come over to projects, obviously new project, and this is going to be price book analysis. You don't even have to fill that out. That's optional. If you share it with the team, anybody on our account will have access to see that project, which is not a bad thing. They won't see your chats. They'll just see the context that you've built for the project. And then I'm just going to come over here to instructions and paste what it gave me and hit save. And now I have a project that is fully aware of what we need it to do. And so you could take something as simple now as just, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to drop that same pricing analysis file in there that's got the old and new price and hit send. And because it has that set of instructions to reuse every time, it's just going to load it, read it, do what it's supposed to do, and give us a very similar output. And so when you're doing things that are something you're revisiting all the time, again, like you said, with comparing, what prices we have available to what the customer can get from their current, competitors, you can give the context of what our current pricing is. And we're in a protected environment. This is a business plan. Claude will not share our pricing with other Claude users. And so you can load those spreadsheets that are our VDQs or whatever directly into the memory of a project. And so it will always, if you give it a customer's competitive pricing, it'll compare to what you have in memory and then give you that same output. So really good use for that to come back to all the time. This will go its path.
And I was just going to, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I'm going to show Rachel's example, which shows competitive pricing and then our pricing. And so I'm going to use that as an example coming up too.
And this is going to run, but the output will be the same, but it was just an example. So yeah, that's great.
So I'll share my screen again. Unless there are any questions real quick. Okay. All right. Yeah, Aaron, we're running ahead a little bit, which is good. It's good that we're running ahead. Actually, we can take more questions like that. And then going back to projects, as Aaron said, we created a project for this introductory class. And so Aaron and I have been sharing this with each other. So that way we could add any content that we needed to. And you can see I've uploaded a lot from what you guys have sent to us, which is very nice. Love projects. And so now let's look at, we're going to demo email document summaries and Claude for Excel. And so first we'll take a look at, I think, what Matt B sent over. So one of the questions was, okay, what do I need to look at? I currently look at this data and I want to be able to get a good synopsis of this. And I gave Matt a much more in-depth prompt that Claude helped create for this. But to start off, this is also in your prompt library that you guys will have access to. So we're going to send this over. These are prompt examples right here that Aaron's pulled from and that I'll pull from as well for the price book analysis. And so you can just cut and paste this and then edit each one of these prompts to make it as easy as possible. Go back to Claude. So starting from this, just cut and paste. We've attached an Excel spreadsheet with sales data and inventory counts, and this is information. You're going to edit in here whatever you're uploading. And what I'm doing is I'm going to upload Matt's information, which is shipment of available stock report. He pulled this from MITS. You can pull this from Focus. And let's look at that raw file real quick so you can have an idea what's in here. So you can see the warehouse, the product category, the SKU, how much sales has been shipped, what's available, and then for each one of these months, I think year to date. So we're going to run this, and just like I loved Aaron's analogy on the cooking show, because I'm going to do the same thing so it doesn't have to go through it, but it's probably going to say, I've already ran this for you, scroll up. Yep. Same file, same analysis. So you can see really quick, gives you an overall summary of the spreadsheet. You can look at the unit shipped. You can look at your top performers, your bottom performers for this as well. And then usually I ask, what are the top 3 to 5 things that I can do right now? And so of course, we already know the answer to this. We don't have to be worried about this one. Maybe take a look at the dead stock, the overall pace. It's good to look at that. And then commercial is down. And then what to action today, look at filters insulation, protect Louisville and Lexington. So you can see that was pretty quick, but I've also ran this a few times before. That's also in here. And then now we'll jump over to Rachel's, and she was looking at wanting to review a different pricing from another distributor to what our pricing looks like. And so you can also do something similar, which is, let's see, pricing template data review. See, pricing data. All I need to do is go in and change this pricing data, and then we'll open up, let's see, this is Rachel's. I'm going to go over here and you'll see what's in her file. So we've got the Ameristar template, we've got product quantity, required sell price, buy price, everyday price, competitive pricing, and then velocities as well. And then you've got the distributor margin, agreement number. So I go back to Claude. All I've updated from this is pricing data. And then also, if I want to be concerned with margin, I can say, give me top 3 margin improvement strategies. So it's going to run this, and it may take a minute, but I ran this earlier. Let's see. Well, did it not? Okay, I think I hit pause. It's a human error. Okay, so it already ran this. And so here's some of the information came back, just overall summary of the portfolio. Top 5 performers by margin, bottom 5, and then alarming, address immediately. And so take a look at the A951X. So 8 SKUs, price is lower than everyday price. And then these margins are half the portfolio average. But then you can also see notable trends in terms of what's your strongest margin performer. You can see whether to fix or renegotiate this pricing, capture this large comp gap on large tonnage units. And so you can keep pulling information and querying this across. And if you want, you can create a project, as Aaron said before, by pulling all of the instructions out, which is nice. So also, let's go through another example. First, are there any questions for that, for those 2 examples? For Matt's or Rachel's example? Okay. All right. So this is another situation. So we've all been through this. Every situation, every TM has lived through this situation to where we've had a price increase, and then once the notification went out, one of the dealers fires back a frustrated email, and then Friday afternoon asking why the prices have been raised. And then you're tired, you've already done 3 phone calls, you're ready for the weekend, and you need a professional, fast response that you can send back. Here's what you do. So, and I have this also in our prompts that that Aaron and I are gonna send out. And so this is one that you can just cut and paste, and then we'll tweak it just a little bit. Because I usually say to cut it down. I don't like how long most of them are. And so I usually say keep it shorter. And so draft a professional email to one of our HVAC dealers. They received a price increase. The first thing to do is we want to acknowledge their frustration and explain why the increase was driven by manufacturer costs that we don't control. Make it warm. And so I still think it's a little too long. I'm going to say make shorter and warmer and more formal. And so I'm getting more. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say one thing I'll note too while it's running is with the Microsoft connector, they just updated it a week or so ago. You're actually able to, it can obviously read your inbox if you ask it to, but it can also draft in your inbox for you too. So you can tell it. I do, auto send is not enabled. It will not just send things on your behalf without explicit approval from you. You have to say yes every time right now. That's just too dangerous to leave unprotected. And so it will draft the email and have it sitting there in your inbox waiting for you to send, just as an extension of this kind of prompt that she's giving you.
And I personally like to cut and paste it versus have the draft. And so it's a personal preference. I used to do that a lot more, but it takes a little bit longer for that API call to develop the draft, but it's personal preference. All of this is personal preference. Some folks may want to go back to their drafts. I want to keep messing with it here. And then finally, when it's perfect, then I'll cut and paste it and maybe tweak it a little bit more. But it is very convenient to have it go to your drafts. But and so I try not to use the word draft, because if you use the word draft, it's going to save it to your drafts. And so I try to explicitly, if it's trying to do that, I say, create an email response inline. And so that's how I get it to avoid the draft. If you don't want the draft, otherwise you can create an email response in draft. And I haven't done this from Claude, Aaron. I've just done it from Perplexity. So if I say this, it should put it in my drafts, right? In my draft email, in my Microsoft 365. 354, 365 Outlook. Will it work? I wonder. I haven't tried this, so this is.
If you haven't used it before, it's probably going to ask you for approvals a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So this is what you're going to see, because I haven't done this before. I've just done it from Perplexity. See, allow this task. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's working right now. We need to grant.
Oh, it's
Okay.
confused. I'll take a look at it.
Okay, all right. It's good that we're trying this out, right? So, so that's an email dealer response. And so the next one is for document summaries. And so I'm sure that each of you right now, how many PDFs do you have sitting in your inbox right now that are over 15, 20, 30 pages long that you've got to read, manufacturer announcements, you've got spec sheets, you've got distributor agreements. And so all this information is piling up, but don't worry about it because you can give it to Claude and ask it to read it, summarize it for you. And I'm going to show you what I did because we get so many of these Hardy reports and I can't keep up with them. And what I do is just, because I'll show you, I think this one is the one that I chose is like 23, 24 pages. And I needed to read it. And it's got all these charts. So got a lot of good information in it. Yes, but I need to get this information fast. I want it in a minute or less. I want all this information in a minute or less. This is also included in the prompt library. And so I'll show you, just summarize this in plain language. And sometimes I say, if it's really complicated, I'll say, like I'm in high school. I literally say that, like I'm in high school. Give me the high schooler version. And what is this document about? 2 to 3 sentences, the 5 most important points, add any action items, deadlines, or things I need to do if there's unusual or pay close attention to. Uploading the Hardy report, the 23-page Hardy report, and then enter. Let's see how fast it is because it already has looked at this, but it may change the grammar slightly because I said I wanted it more simply. Okay. And I like this version actually better than what I had before, like I'm in high school. I want it as simple as possible. And so the war with Iran threw a wrench into everything. The economy isn't crashing, but it isn't great either. Buying a house is really hard right now. So mortgage rates were a little bit lower than this. I think like 6.2, 6.3. Now they're back to 6.5. HVAC sales look okay on paper, but not really. People's customer sentiment is lower about what it was during the financial crisis. And so action items, we already know this. Some of this is like, duh. And Aaron and I were talking about this the other day. Some of these things are going to be like, duh, but it's good that it's already confirming what you know. Let's see, Southeast, isn't that awesome? Strongest market right now. But don't expect the interest rates to drop and save the housing market this year. So that could impact us a little bit. It is worth watching about the customer confidence being at the lowest point since the financial crisis, because that could affect us. So 23 pages, and we were able to do it in how many seconds? Under a minute or two. And so that's going to save you guys a ton of time to be able to go through this. And just really, really fast. I love this. This is one of my favorite things that it does that I really love. And right now, I would like to hand it for a more creative and fun part for Madison's section. She's going to show you how this applies to content creation and marketing.
Yes, so I get to do the more fun, exciting things. Not that all the things you guys are doing aren't exciting, just maybe not as fun. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure that I can actually share my screen. Okay, so a lot of what I do is mainly with content creation, right? So maybe we'll have a dealer, for example, Tidwell and Sons. They requested some Facebook content. And I had already done some stuff with ChatGPT, but I wanted to see how Claude would work in this aspect. So I asked it to create 4 social media posts for a local HVAC dealer promoting themselves. Gave them key details, so some things to point out were dependability, being local, family owned. They do a free filter Friday, and they also want to educate their dealers on HVAC. Kept the tone friendly, local, keeping it to the ratio for Facebook, and a quick call to action. And so it gave me these ideas for posts first, and then I asked it to generate the graphics with some captions as well. And if I can find my preview button, this is what it gave me. So very basic right off the bat, but also, sorry, y'all are seeing my trash now. A good starting place for me. It gives me an idea of where to start if I want to take this and run with it. If it's simple enough that I can just ship it straight to the dealer, makes life a lot more simple. Obviously, I'd have to add in their logo. They might want some photos included or something like that. But honestly, a really great starting place. I'm still getting Claude to kind of learn the context of everything, but with it knowing very little about everything, I thought that this was a really good start. And then I just kind of tweaked a couple things, and it gave me 4 different posts. And I asked it about stock images and adding photos and stuff, but I think that's something that I have to dig into a little bit deeper. But another thing that I was kind of thinking about was how our Georgia team, I mean, we've had a little bit of movement with the sales team, and the Georgia team had requested a sheet that just kind of shows dealers who maybe have a TM that's moved on to another company, just some numbers to call, some references and things like that. And so I plugged this in to Claude. We originally created a document in ChatGPT, and I thought it was great, but I thought it was busy. So I gave it some context that we have some outside sales team members that have moved to other positions at different companies. While we're looking for someone to take their place, we need something to give to customers that has all the information they might need, all the important contacts, locations, things like that. And so it spit one version out, and I was like, this is great, but it's not as fun. It's not as colorful. It's not as eye catching. It looks very boring, and I would probably lose it on the stack of millions of papers on my desk. So, very plainly, I just said it's a good start, but this is plain. Can we jazz it up a bit? And it gave me some colorful icons. I might look into maybe seeing how I can change the logo here. But I think this would be a really great way that you guys could use the creative aspect of Claude, because we have moving parts all the time. This could look like, we have this for team members, but also if there's a product coming out or a promotion that we have going on, or even something as simple as, a quick co-op 101. That's something that I can work on with you guys to build. And this took maybe all of 5 minutes to put together. And it was very easy to go in and just say, hey, I need this little thing changed. And I didn't have to be crazy detailed. But obviously, like Erin and Alisha were saying, the more details and the more context you give it, the better your outcome will be. But I think this is a really great start for the creative side of things.
Thank you, Madison.
Oh, I'll stop sharing my screen also. Sorry, y'all.
Erin, would you like to close this out?
Yeah, firstly, just want to open it up, right? Anybody have any glaring questions? Matt, I saw yours obviously about installing it. If it's not already on your computer, put in a ticket. The guys will get that installed for you. For all of you to know, if you didn't see Matt's message, I did have the IT team attempt to pre-install Claude on all of your computers. You guys are a little bit harder to pin down than our guys sitting at desktops all day. So if yours didn't happen to be on, it may not have actually installed the desktop version. But if it's not, just put in a ticket to the IT team and they will hop on and make sure it gets pushed. Just make sure your laptop is on and open so that we can get it installed for you. The desktop app is where you're going to find the most help, especially when you're talking about things like co-work. Having it work on files on your computer, you're going to need the desktop app. Same with your phone. You can use your phone too, as Rachel pointed out. You don't need my permission to install that. So you can throw that on there whenever you want and just sign in with your Team Air account. Do know that for whatever reason, the authenticator email that it sends with the PIN takes forever. It will show up, but it takes 5 to 10 minutes every time. I have no understanding for why. But yeah, so super powerful tool, obviously, and kind of the sky's the limit for what you guys need it for. We're not trying to dictate that so much as just give you ideas and jumping off points. Alisha will tell you that her and I run most thoughts through it just as a sanity check for a lot of things. So it's definitely become a highly used tool in my day-to-day, and certainly more, I think Madison showed a good example of where, chat may be better at some of the creative, like image gen type, where Claude is better at some of the strategy and laying out documents. Claude loves just basic documents, right? And so it can definitely work within that. If you guys have anything that is hyper repeatable, and you need help just figuring out how to get that into the context of a project that you can always come back to that has that knowledge, or even something that's going to serve the whole company. Claude also has these things called skills, which are really tools that we hand it that it just always uses in every chat. Alicia's made a great one for document formatting. that formats any generated Word document or anything like that. It's going to use the same font, the same color palette, and everything that we use as a business. So every document we generate looks pretty uniform. And that's a skill that's shared company wide in our Claude environment. So yours actually already has access to that built in. So anything like that where it's going to be something that you think everybody can use, we will happily package it up and get it installed so you all see it. Yeah, there you go. I think you have that one shared, right? Can you hit the shared tab for me?
Yeah,
Sure.
it should be shared,
Okay.
and you just got to reference it with a / I believe. If you
Yeah,
want to.
it'll, if it's mine, when I generate documents, it just knows to look for the tool. But it's in the structure. So yeah, so anything like that we can bundle up for you guys. We do have a tool, you might see, it's not pushed to everybody. You know, we've got a tool for talking to CSD. It's still very much a work in progress. You know, we're kind of trying to make it work well for us so that we can hopefully bundle it and get it to everybody, but it can actually talk directly to CSD and understand some of the data in CSD and help us find it. Mine happens to be, Deborah asked me for something complicated about why a GL transaction was in suspense, and my Claude is running in the background figuring that out for me while we were having this meeting, saving me from having to go dig in CSD for half an hour. So but yeah, it's really good. I appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's a chat, obviously, from this call that you're welcome to continue using, just so that we have kind of one place for questions. And if you have any problems with install or anything, just let me know.
And one more quick thing. So really good summary. And thank you, Aaron and Madison, for your awesome content for this session. One thing to note on usage monitoring, we will be paying attention to who's using this. And if you don't use it for 2 months straight, we're going to reassign your license. So use it because it does cost. And so we want you guys to use it. We want you guys to take advantage of it, but we will reassign it to someone who will use it. And so we will be paying attention to that. Don't forget, use Sonnet, as Aaron said. Always use Sonnet unless something is really, really complex. Then move to Opus. Reach out to the IT team if you're having trouble being able to access it. And the goal isn't to give you guys more software; it's to give you guys time back. And so hopefully Claude gives you guys time back, because that's the purpose of all of this. And so try it on something that you've been putting off because it's tedious, something that you've been dreading or procrastinating, and see how much anxiety it relieves. So, and then let us know, because we love to hear about stuff like that. So anything from the team or the group, that any questions or comments or anything?
If I have an idea for a project I'd like to use this on, where do I go to for guidance? Both of you just put it in this chat, or does it go to the IT support email in general? Like if I may say, hey, this is how I want to talk through how do I ask the right question, for instance, right? How do I structure it the right way?
Ping us, put Alisha and I in a group text. We'll happily go back and forth.
Agreed.
I mean, the guys on the IT team use it too. But in the context of this meeting and us rolling it out to you guys, obviously we're more informed. So we'll happily back and forth it with you, Greg.
And
Fair
we'll go pretty fast, especially with AI stuff. We're very fast at this. We'll be able to help you quick.
Thank you.
So anytime. That's it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.